A very good afternoon to all the students who are present today to attend the online lecture for third year BCom semester 5 for the subject Business Administration. I warmly welcome one and all. Now, I hope that you have been attending the previous lectures of BA, so you might be aware of that we have started discussion on the second part of Unit 1, or I can say the second chapter of Unit 1 that talks on financial planning. We have already discussed quite a lot in the same. Today, we shall be completing this chapter by the last two topics that have been left, and thereby we begin with your third chapter or the third part of Unit 1. So, have a quick glance, a quick recap of whatever we have done in the chapter. So, in financial planning, we had started with the very definition or the meaning of financial planning. I hope you are aware about it because we have not only discussed but revised it many times. So, financial planning was nothing but planning or estimating the fund requirements as to how much fund would be required and from where would you raise the funds. So it was to estimate the fund requirements and thereby determining the sources of funds. We had discussed the objectives of financial planning as to why financial planning is so important and inevitable for every business enterprise. So all the points we had discussed. We had discussed and revised also in the previous lecture as to what are the factors affecting financial planning, as to which are the factors that shall govern the sources from where the funds can be raised, whether a business should go for equity or whether it should go for preference share, debentures, etc. So I hope you are clear with this topic as well. In the previous lecture, we had discussed on a very important concept of the steps, or I can say the process of financial planning. So, just a quick recap of it, I shall be giving you. I hope you remember the steps before we undergo financial planning or before we estimate the fund requirement. The first thing that a business needs to do was determine the financial objective. That is to say, to determine whether it is a short term financial objective or it is a long term financial objective. By short term, students, we had meant that it could be to maintain enough liquidity, while for long term, it meant to have wealth maximization. So that has to be determined first in case there are any sort of problems that may occur in the path of implementation of financial plan. So those problems can be reviewed. Also, based on those problems, one can decide whether some modifications have to be introduced in the existing plan or it has to be changed completely. Once you have done that, then you would now estimate the fund requirements, the capital that is required by the business enterprise. After having decided the requirement, you need to now decide the sources from where the funds can be raised. The finance manager will now work for obtaining the funds, that could be negotiating with those sources, fulfilling different sort of formalities and thereby obtaining the funds. Lastly, when you have decided how much fund is required, from where would you raise it, you have also obtained the same. So last but not the least step would be to know how the funds will be utilized, because ultimately one needs to obtain the funds at a minimum cost but needs to work for the optimum utilization of the same. I had told you earlier also that when you use the funds in a business, it needs to give you a return higher than the cost you have incurred to raise the same. So, this was all about the process of financial planning. I hope you are very well clear with that. The next topic we did in the previous lecture were the types of financial plan. So I hope you remember how many types were there, students. So there were three types of financial plan. I hope you remember the names. It was the short term financial plan, the long term, and the overall financial plan. So, students, a financial plan that was prepared for a period of 1 year could be a short term financial plan. It was basically made to estimate the short term requirements of finance, or I can say the working capital requirement, the requirement to meet with the day to day expenses of a business. It was a short term financial plan. But on the other hand, a financial plan that is prepared for a period of 5 years or more could be a long term financial plan that is basically to estimate the long term financial requirements as to how much will be invested in the fixed assets. Thirdly, the financial plan, which covers the overall financial requirements of a business enterprise. It was the overall financial plan. We are not concerned only with short term or long term, but when a business unit starts new or it is going to get expanded, it needs to think about the overall financial requirement. So it becomes the overall financial plan. We had also discussed about the overall financial plan in detail. Lastly, in the previous lecture, we did discuss on the guiding principles of financial planning also, meaning to say the prerequisites on which a financial plan should be based. So very quickly, just have a look at it. Your financial plan should be appropriate to the objectives, meaning to say it should be relevant to the long term or the short term objectives of the business, whatever the case may be. It needs to make the intensive use of resources. So I had explained you that when you raise the funds, it should help the business make the most use of the resource. That is to say, one cannot use the funds raised for the short term requirement for the use of long term requirement. It should not be the case. Your financial plan has to be flexible, meaning to say it should have a scope of bringing changes. It should have a scope of raising the funds if required in future, and also redeeming or returning the funds when the business has excess cash. It should be a plan which is liquid, helps to maintain liquidity, that is to say enough cash on hand or those securities which can be easily marketable or easily converted to cash, so that the business can meet with the future liabilities as and when they occur. It should be able to provide for contingencies. Contingencies could be the future risk and uncertainties. So even a provision for the same should be maintained. The finance manager should make the plan having foresightedness, that is to say, peeping into the future and thereby lay down a plan in present. Lastly, the plan has to be economical, the funds to be raised at a minimum cost from the best source and thereby making the optimum utilization of the same. So I hope with this quick revision, you are clear with all what has been covered up till now. Students, we now move on to the last two topics for chapter number 2 that talks on the importance and the limitations of financial planning. So let us first discuss what could be the advantages, what are the merits of financial planning. Up till now, you have discussed so much on financial planning that you yourself can come up with few points as to why financial planning is so necessary in an organization. I have always been telling you that a business does not want to face a situation where it either suffers from shortage of funds, that is to say, scarce funds, neither wants to suffer from excessive funds or surplus funds, because shortage of funds will not help the business achieve the objectives, and surplus funds would create a very costlier position for the business. So, to avoid these circumstances, to avoid the future risk and uncertainties, to undertake financial planning at present is very important. So let us have a look on different points of advantages for the same one by one. So number one, it prevents the wastage of financial resources, time, energy, I can say time, energy, and money of the management, because through financial planning you are able to estimate the fund requirements well in advance. Not only that, you would also decide as to how and where the funds will be optimally utilized. So it will prevent the wastage of resources in the unnecessary activities. Number two, financial planning will help the management have knowledge of the financial requirement. As the definition itself suggests that financial planning helps to estimate the fund requirements. You can estimate the requirement well in advance based on your future goals and objectives. You can also decide as to from where the funds would be raised, whether an internal source, whether an external source. So that knowledge would be very helpful. Number three, the management, the business will also get an idea about the capital expenditure. That is to say, whether funds needs to be invested in the working capital requirement or the fixed capital requirement, whether you are investing in the current assets or the day-to-day operations of the business, or you are going to invest it in the long-term activities in the fixed assets. So even that can be decided. Number four, we have discussed this point earlier, that financial plan helps to prepare for future risk and contingencies. A financial manager can create a provision for contingencies. That is to say, if in future any risk or liability arises, we already have a plan laid down for the same. It would help in obtaining and utilizing the funds economically. As I said, it enables to raise the funds at a minimum cost, but also using the same optimally. Helps to create a balance also between the future incomes and expenses. It can help create a balance between the two, between the financial resources and how it will be utilized. Number seven, it also helps to create a balance between the retained profit and the distribution of dividend. Now, this also we had discussed earlier, that whatever surplus funds are left over in the business, that is to say, whatever surplus is left in the earnings can be either distributed in the form of dividend to the shareholders, or it can be retained in the business itself. So even that sort of balance can be maintained through financial planning. Lastly, it also attracts all different sort of investors, whether they are risk takers or whether they are safety seekers, all stay attracted, and they can be used for raising the funds. So after having studied with all the different advantages of financial planning, we now move on to the last topic for chapter number 2, that is to say the limitations of financial planning. There are few drawbacks, there are few demerits also, because when I say we are doing planning, you all know that the plan is based on the future. The base for the plan is nothing but future and the future events. So the future is uncertain. Your assumptions, your estimates about future may go wrong, and the same creates a limitation for financial planning. So let us discuss the same. The first, as you can see, the base of financial planning is uncertain. When you are estimating the fund requirements, you are estimating the financial requirement, it is basically based on the future events, and the future is uncertain. So because the base itself is uncertain, it may happen that your financial plan also turns out to be a wrong or a defective one. There could be some outside factors that makes the planning useless. There could be some factors which are beyond the control of the management, beyond the control of the organization. So in that sense also planning may get useless. You have framed a plan today, but there could be number of factors such as the social factors, the political factors, legal factors, the social factors. All these things would be outside the control of management and thereby making the planning defective. Planning at times also results into rigidity. Now, when I say rigidity, it is because once you have laid down the plan and you have determined everything in advance, it is expected that everybody in the organization will follow the same. So it at times kills the very initiative and enthusiasm on the part of employees and executives. The dynamism is killed. They have to follow whatever is laid down, and it is difficult at times to bring changes in it. So it turns out to be rigid. Again, it is creating a rigid attitude of management, because if planning is rigid, or if the management does not allow to change the plan as per the changing circumstances, it would result into a failure. Sometimes there is a lack of coordination also between various departments, executives. So, in that sense, also the effectiveness of planning gets very limited. Inefficient communication system. Now, we are talking about the communication and the distribution of information at different levels of management, whether the lower, middle, or the top. So, in that case, also the planning gets ineffective. Number seven, faulty decision making. That is to say, if the decisions are based on information that is faulty or that is incomplete, inadequate, of course, the decisions would be wrong and would not be correct. It would have some sort of defects included. Number eight, lack of flexibility in the capital structure. Now, what do you mean by capital structure? Capital structure is nothing but showing you the sources from where the funds have been raised, as to how the capital has been made up of, whether it is made up of equity, preference, debentures, or a combination of all. So sometimes even there is lack of flexibility in the capital structure that results to a defective financial planning. The proportion of borrowed capital, at times even the higher proportion of borrowed capital seems to be a limitation, because when you have higher borrowed funds as compared to your own funds, even a slightest rumor or a doubt about the financial condition of business would lead the depositors, the investors, to run and form a queue asking for their funds back. So you don't want that. So the proportion of borrowed capital, if higher, would also prove to be a limitation for the effectiveness of financial planning. Last but not the least, it could also be the increase in revenue expenses that becomes a limitation for effective financial plan. When I say revenue expenses, there could be number of expenses over which management has no control, such as wages, salary, taxes, electricity expense, and whatnot. So due to these rising expenses, also it gets difficult to make financial planning a success. To sum up, I can say that there will always be some uncertain or contingent factors pertaining to future that may make planning defective or may result into a failure. But then I would like to end the chapter on a quote that a goal without a plan is just a wish. So, owing to the drawbacks or the limitations of planning, one cannot avoid forming a plan. Planning is inevitable, and financial planning is to be done by the business enterprises whatsoever. So, with this, we are finishing the second part, the second chapter of Unit 1, that was talking all about financial planning, in which today you have understood with the advantages and the limitations of the same. Now, before I go on to the third chapter, let me just test your knowledge a while as to how far you have understood the chapter. So there are a few questions, a quiz that I have put up over here. So you may pay your keen attention and based on your understanding, try to answer the questions. So you can read the question and after a few seconds, I would be giving you the correct answer. So the process of estimating the fund requirements of a firm and determining the sources of funds is called. So I hope that you know the correct answer. When we are estimating the fund requirements, we are determining the sources. It is nothing but financial planning. Question number 2 for you. So if the existing management wants to retain the control in their hands, they will issue less of. That is to say, if the management wants control in their hands and does not want to give it to others, it shall be issuing the finance through which source? So it is equity share capital. I had explained you in the previous lectures that equity shareholders possess voting rights. So if you don't want to give them voting rights, you don't want them to participate in your management, you should better not raise funds from equity, but raise it through debentures or preference shares. Question number 3 for you. You may read it. In order to reduce the tax burden, the company can raise funds through. If you want to reduce the tax liability a bit, reduce the burden, then from where should you raise the funds? So I hope you got the answer. The funds can be raised through debentures, because I explained you in the previous lecture that debentures or debenture holders are to be paid a fixed rate of interest, that is a tax deductible expenditure. So in case you want to reduce your burden to that extent and want to increase dividend on the shareholders, you can raise it through debentures. I hope you got all the answers correct. Fourth one for you, very simple, and you might be aware about it, that the financial plan prepared for a period of 1 year is called. Now, this is very simple. Maximum 1 year, if you prepare a plan for, it is, the answer is short term financial plan. All right, next, the short term financial objective of a business enterprise is to maintain. We have discussed this today also, that as a short term financial objective, what is to be maintained adequately by a business? So one has to maintain enough liquidity, that is to say, cash on hand. And the last question for you, the short term capital requirement of funds is also known as. When I say short term capital requirement, we are talking about the day to day capital requirement for the day to day operations of a business enterprise. So, what is it also known as? It is also known as the working capital requirement. So, I hope that you are clear with the second chapter of Unit 1 talking on financial planning. On this note, we begin and we would discuss slide about the third aspect or the third chapter of Unit 1 that talks on capitalization. Let me be very clear that Unit 1, that is the financial management covering a weightage of 50%, is divided into 5 parts or 5 chapters altogether, out of which you have discussed the first one, that was financial management, the second that we finished today, financial planning, and now we begin the third that talks on capitalization. Now, definitely we won't be discussing much, but I would just be giving you an idea of what do you mean by capitalization. Now, before we actually understand the entire term, let us break the term over here. So what remains is capital. So before I explain you capitalization, I just want to ask to you, what is your understanding about the term capital? You all might have heard the word in accounts also. So when I say capital in a business, what comes to your mind? So you would say that whatever money is invested in the business, whatever money the owner is investing, it is nothing but capital. Fine. But then there are a number of aspects connected to it. There are number of interpretations of the term capital. So let us understand the meaning of capital from different perspectives, in which the first view is the trader's view. When I say trader, the word that comes to your mind is a businessman. So according to a trader, what is his view of capital? So as per the trader's view, capital is simply the money that is invested in the business. Whatever money, the total value of it invested in the business is nothing but capital. So I can say the total money value of the assets that have been brought up in the business, the entire money invested is capital as per the trader's view. Number two, it is the economist's view. Now, when in the trader's view, we discussed that the total money invested in the business is capital. According to the economist's view, they consider only those assets which can be used for further production. I repeat, those assets which can be used for further production is nothing but capital according to the economist's view. Number three, which you are very well aware about, the meaning of capital according to the accounting system. That is to say, what do you mean by capital when you have studied accounts? So we all have seen and we have prepared balance sheet where we know on the liability side what do we write under the head of capital. So it is the share capital along with the reserves and surplus. So according to this definition, the money that is invested in the business by the owner is capital. So I can say it could be the share capital plus the reserves and surplus or the retained earnings that have been retained in the business. You might have studied the other aspect of it also, where you can also deduct the total liabilities from the total assets, that is asset minus liability. You would again get the same, that is capital plus reserves. So this could be the definition of capital as per the accounting system. Number four, on which we are going to focus in the chapter, is the meaning of capital from the viewpoint of commerce. When I say from the viewpoint of commerce, it is the summation, it is the total of the owner's funds plus the borrowed funds. Meaning to say, like the above definition, we are not only considering the owner's capital plus reserves, but we shall also consider the money that is borrowed from the external sources. So I can say it will include share capital plus reserves, also the loans, the borrowings that we have obtained from the external sources, maybe debentures, maybe a loan taken from bank and whatnot. Lastly, the meaning of capital from the legal viewpoint, it is very simple. From the viewpoint of law, capital is nothing but the share capital, and it is concerned with the paid up share capital of the company. You all know paid up share capital, that is the amount of the share capital that has been paid up by the shareholders. So these are the different views that you have studied about capital. Could be the trader's view, the economist's view, the accounting view, viewpoint of commerce, and the legal point of view. Moving on to the last part of today's lecture, having studied all the different viewpoints as to what do you mean by capital, now we move on to a simple definition of capitalization. Up till now, we have understood the meaning of capital. But what do you mean by capitalization? So, the total amount of capital, or I can say the total capital that the business is utilizing to run smoothly, it is nothing but capitalization. So, whatever capital, the total value of capital stock that the business possesses is capitalization. But then you have to understand what things are comprised in that. I would give you a simple example. If we say that the business has raised some 20 lakhs from the equity share capital and has raised some 10 lakhs from the borrowings, such as from debentures or a loan from bank, so the capitalization would be nothing but 20 lakhs plus 10 lakhs, that is 30 lakhs. So I hope you are clear. The total capital that the business possesses to run smoothly, it is capitalization. So you can understand the meaning. It is the total amount of company's capital or the total value of its capital stock. In our example, the total value was 30 lakhs, so it is nothing but capitalization. As I said, it comprises of value of shares of different classes. By different classes, we mean it could be equity share capital, it could be preference share capital, the value of bonds and debentures, that we consist of the external sources of finance, the long-term loans if you have taken from banks. Lastly, it could also be the accumulated surplus. Accumulated surplus is nothing but the retained earnings. Whatever is left out in the earnings after distributing as dividend also to the shareholders, whatever is left can be again plowed back or can be retained in the business. That is nothing but accumulated surplus. You also call it reserves and surplus. So combined together, it will form capitalization. I hope you are clear with the topics we did today. We have understood with the importance and the limitations of financial planning. We have discussed about the third topic, that was all about capitalization, where we have discussed the meaning of capital from different viewpoints, and we have also discussed the meaning of capitalization. See you soon in the next lecture, where we shall be going further with the third chapter, capitalization. If you have any doubts, you may just raise your doubts and you may comment them in the Google Classroom of your respective class, and I shall be answering to them at the earliest. Thank you so much for the day. Until then, happy learning.